Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Del K. Brereton, and this is the Real Spiel Shallow Institute. Stand up to my mentor in Hebrew, Dr. David Israel, and the class that is taking Hebrew and discovering the greatness of this ancient Semitic language. I greet you in Jerusalem and the United States of America, and to all the countries around the world, to the Caribbean and Canada, to Africa. This is Del K. Brereton, and this is the Real Spiel, the live drive on a Friday. How y'all doing? I hope you slept well. I hope you're getting ready for the weekend, and I anticipate a fantastic spiel this morning. This is my question for us: is Kamala our Shirley Chisholm? Is Kamala Harris our Shirley Chisholm? For those who don't know who Shirley Chisholm is, Shirley was the first black woman, Miss Chisholm, we call her Shirley. Miss Chisholm was the first black woman to seek nomination from one of the two dominant parties of America, and specifically the Democratic nomination. She sought out the Democratic nomination in the 70s and was a formidable foe in respect to getting that nomination. Of Caribbean background, similar to Kamala's background. She's got a Caribbean background. Her father, again, is Jamaican. But the difference, as we all know, is that Kamala has already broken history, become history. She's living and walking history. She's the first black female vice president of the United States, and looking to be the first black female president of the United States. And I know what y'all are going to say. You make me hungry. I'm hungry just thinking of this argument. Oh, let me summon the Holy Ghost to deal with y'all. You're going to tell me Kamala's not black. You're gonna just I need ear. Because it's going to come from people of my complexion, of the melanated population. They're going to tell me Kamala's not black. She's not black enough, Del. She's not black enough. It doesn't matter. I'm going to tell you right now. It doesn't matter what Kamala thinks in respect to her ethnicity, okay? It doesn't matter what card Kamala's trying to play. Kamala black, okay? She bliggity black. And I honestly don't believe that Kamala tries to. I don't believe that she believes she's not black. I believe she doesn't make it a point of concern or contention to her, which again is definitely puzzling to us. But let's talk about why Kamala is black, because I know that's where you're going to come for first before I start saying that she's our Shirley Chisholm. Kamala could have gone to any school, could have gone to any university she wanted to, but she chose to go to an HCBU. She chose to go to a historical black university, and that school is Howard. It's a black school. Now, it doesn't get blacker than that when you try to basically go to a historical black university. She joined a black sorority. Like she wasn't running for political office at this time. She was a young black girl who wanted to be in touch with her community and, of course, get a great education. And she decided to give her money to Howard University to go to a black school. Now let's just say maybe that's the only school that accepted her. Maybe she was just hard on her luck. She couldn't get into any of these great, white universities. She couldn't get into Duke, or couldn't get into Princeton, Harvard, Yale. And maybe she just decided to just lower the bar and go to Howard. And why would you join a black sorority too? Why get the full black college experience by joining a black sorority? Huh? Why do that? Why spend summers in Jamaica with your father, your sister, and enjoy that time in your indigenous home if you're not black? I think we need to behave ourselves. And not only is Kamala black, Kamala has a different black experience than a lot of black Americans, because she doesn't only have the black American experience. She has the mentality of the Caribbean person who has already taken charge, taken hold of their country. See, it's not foreign to Kamala to see a black person running a nation. She's seen it in Jamaica. It's not something that's strange to her. It's not a concept that's new. And so for her to reach for the things that she's reached for speaks to the DNA of her historicity. Right. She's not reaching for things that she thinks are out of touch for her. She's reaching for things that she's already seen in the community of her upbringing. Absolutely. So, can we cross that off the list? Kamala's black. Black as any one of you. She's black. Secondly, is Kamala our Shirley Chisholm? Shirley was a very high achiever. Determined high achiever. When she set her mind to do something, Shirley was going to do it. Now, Kamala Harris is one heck of a high achiever. She was a district attorney. Now, as a lawyer, that is a coveted position. To be a regional prosecutor in charge of judicial policy at a senior level. That's a dream job. That is a dream job. I mean, you go from there, you go on to maybe wanting to be a judge, and you've had a fantastic career. You might have gone into private practice first for a little while just to make some big money. You know, after doing that, you go into private practice because you know all the judges. You make some big money. But she didn't choose that route. She went and said, you know what? I want to be a senator. Now that's reaching for the stars. That is reaching for the stars. And let me explain that I'm not exhaustively in touch with her bio. I know the highlights. I mean, a deep dive into her bio, I'm sure I will find more. But I'm just grazing the top of the soil. I'm dealing with the top soil here. She decided she wanted to be a senator. That's a high achieving woman. And from there, going on to be Biden's pick. Now, this is where the real research has to be done. We need some forensic, fast people. Trinidad, we call you fast. You're big in people business. How do you go from being a senator to getting yourself in line with effectively the Obama administration? Because that's a family. The Obama group with Biden, that's a network. Okay, those guys are not playing games. Those guys know what's up. They know Biden was going to be the next. He says, you know, after me is you. And then putting Kamala in that position, they were sure that she was going to be the type of person that would be able to do exactly what she's doing now. And it wasn't her turn yet. Joe was supposed to have one more term, and she was supposed to play ball for one more term. But they said, you know what, baby? Joe's fading out. We're gonna have to call your number now. You're on deck. And so she arrives at the party a little earlier 4 years earlier than was expected, that the plan was laid out for. But she's ready. And this is what makes her different than Shirley. Shirley wasn't ready for every level of the political world. Shirley wasn't cutthroat enough. She had a lot of cutthroat people around her, though. She had a lot of people using her, a lot of people that she thought were her friends were not her friends. And Kamala understands how to play that game, though. Kamala understands who you got to get close to and who you got to get away from. She understood that. One thing that I would like to figure out, though, in a life of a person who is very strategic, I would like to understand what was the strategy regarding marrying the man she married. And I do not think that marriage was without strategy. I don't. And I one day I'm just going to do my own research and check that out. And when you check that out for me, let me know who is her husband. What is the machinery that causes him to tick? What are the power pieces that he has the capacity to play on the back end that put Kamala in this position? Because you bet your bottom dollar he had something to do with it too. You don't marry an old white man for no reason. You don't just get up and marry an old white man without a reason. No. Young black woman running for politics, and she decides to marry an old white man. There's strategy behind that. I don't care what you got to say to me. I don't care what you got to say to me. I don't care how it sounds to you. It's absolutely true. I ain't gonna say no more about it because I can talk about it a lot, especially in Canada here, but I ain't gonna say no more about it. There's strategy there. So I need to know what was the strategy behind the person that she married. Shirley didn't have that type of strategy around the person that she married. And this is where you see how various things change somebody's trajectory and success when it comes to this political game. It's a messy game. It is a messy game. And you got to know how to play it. You got to be able to play it for keeps. Kamala's not, she's not Hansel and Gretel walking around in the forest waiting to be eaten by the witch. No. She's the big bad doggone wolf. And she's not Little Red Riding Hood. No, she's not Little Red Riding Hood. She's Warrior Riding Hood. Okay? She got her 2 knives in her pocket, a sword in her back, and a shotgun somewhere up her sleeve, because she's not playing. She's not Shirley on that level, where Shirley was, I think, a person that we all consider to be gracious, a little bit vulnerable. There's no vulnerability to be seen in Kamala Harris, none whatsoever. And but she's also, which is interesting enough, she's not Margaret Thatcher. Margaret Thatcher was the Prime Minister of Great Britain for a period of time. And they called her the Iron Lady, and people spoke about her personality was kind of harsh. Kamala's not Margaret Thatcher. She's personable. If you look at her, how she carries herself, there's some signature things that she does. She intentionally smiles. She's not a nervous smiler. She uses her smile to disarm. She's also a presidential poser. You see this? Watch her. When she's looking at, she's waiting for you to talk, and she's like, "I'm about to cut your throat just now." Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm gonna roast you, baby. I was ready for that question. She has it down to a science. She's polished. Okay. Next. Unlike Hillary, and definitely unlike Shirley, she has a better sense of fashion. Like Shirley Chisholm, those wigs that Shirley was wearing, baby. Jeez. Yeah. They should have, whoever styled Shirley, they need to be horsewhipped. Yep, they needed to be whooped. Because those big old wigs that Shirley was wearing, those things were not working for Shirley. Just like Hillary, those ugly pantsuits that she used to put together, they were not working for her either. Right? And I would put her fashion sense, speaking of Kamala, because fashion sense is key. You are a woman. You do want to demonstrate strength, but you're a woman. And I would put her right between Hillary and Michelle Obama. Right? Michelle Obama was a fabulous dresser. She was a flamboyant dresser. She was the first lady, and as a first lady, she carried her clothing style differently. And I don't know why that seems to be where these women, when they have to try to run for presidency, they start putting on pantsuits. But when they're the first lady, they wear dresses. That's an interesting thing to me. Okay? That's an interesting thing to me. You're putting on a dress when you're the first lady. You're carrying yourself at the pinnacle of femininity. But if you're running for the presidency, all of a sudden you break out the pantsuit. That's very interesting to me. You got to wear pants? You got to wear pants to be a female president? No, I don't think you got to wear pants. I don't think you got to wear pants. I think you can rock your dress. Right? So, but Kamala doesn't seem to be as masculine trying. Like Hillary definitely tried to be very masculine, very tough, and yeah, she was more Margaret Thatcher than Kamala is. Kamala still has that level of softness that I've identified. Shirley wasn't feminine enough, right? And Shirley, unfortunately, wasn't the most attractive woman. Let's just be honest, she wasn't the most attractive woman. But they didn't soften her with better clothing, and probably she wasn't going for it. But she did wear dresses. Shirley Chisholm rocked dresses. She rocked the dress. These young women of this generation, seemingly, they only wear pantsuits when they try to appropriate offices that traditionally belong to men. And I think that's a mistake. I honestly think that's a mistake. Nothing wrong with being the full level of your femininity, getting up there like Shirley and rocking your dress, right? Even though some of Shirley's dresses were, I guess it was the 70s, so clothing was a little bit different, but the dress and the wig, Shirley didn't do that well. Shirley didn't do that well. But speaking of now, her capacity to speak now. Let's get into that. For me, this is where Shirley Chisholm had her beat. And not that Kamala is not a great speaker. When Shirley was running for president, Shirley had some fiery speeches. And this is what made her such a credible person at that time in America, was this black woman sounded presidential. Kamala took a while to sound presidential. In fact, this debate is when the consensus went around America that Kamala finally sounds presidential. Shirley sounded presidential from the jump. She sounded like a woman to be reckoned with, a woman of intelligence, a woman who knew the issues, a woman who could debate, a woman who could put you in her place effectively. Shirley was not, you didn't play with Shirley on that level. She was not a joke. She was not a simple woman. She was a brilliant woman. And I believe Kamala is an intelligent person too, but I don't believe, this is where I'm gonna knock her, I don't believe she has decided to sit down and hammer out her own intelligent policy that speaks to her own personal creativity about that position. I think she's still, following Joe's plan. They just picked up Joe's plan and ran with Joe's plan. And even though she said to Donald Trump, you're not running against Joe, you're running against me, then you have to now demonstrate what it means to be Kamala Harris when it comes to being a policymaker. And Luckily, Donald has no policy either. He's got nothing. He's running. He's running on personality. But effectively, she's running on somebody else's ticket, and she has to change that to make that her presidency. And I'm hoping that she has put people in place, very smart people, who are able to hammer out policy snippets, allowing her to speak intelligently about policy that she's going to put in place. Because Shirley had that down. Shirley had that down. Shirley had a plan. Shirley had a plan. And if Shirley was the president of the United States, nothing would have been missed. Okay, because Shirley was always thinking, Shirley was ready for that job. And I believe Kamala is too. But I believe she has to do the final work to be that historical figure that we expect her to be if she's going to be the first female black president of the United States. Let me see what y'all got to say about this. Interesting perspective. Thank you very much, Kofi. Trump 2024. Well, let's see. We're here now. And you know what? I have to admit to all of you Trump 2024 people, when you guys were telling me that stuff last year, I was laughing in your face. I was like, no way in heck is this guy going to have an opportunity to be in a position that he was before. They'll never allow it. They'll never let him. But I was wrong. I am flabbergasted that Donald Trump received the nomination, that Donald Trump has come this far. My initial thoughts were that DeSantis was going to be in this position, that the maniac in Florida was going to be in this position. He was trying to effectively be Trump 2.0, but Trump has demonstrated that nobody can be Trump, that he's the only person in America allowed to be a xenophobic racist who says crazy stuff and does crazy things and puts crazy policies in place that people will accept. They didn't accept it from DeSantis. They thought he's what he is, a crazy racist man putting policies in place to prejudicially against people of ethnicity. That's exactly what he is. But people don't think that of Trump. They think he's some kind of savior. And he administratively dismissed DeSantis right away. So I thought all you crazy Trump 2024 people were off your rocker. Well, I was wrong. I was wrong. You are off your rocker, but you made sure that you backed your guy. Your guy's still here. He's still here. He's kung fu kicking. He's blabbering and saying all kind of madness. But he's here. He's a threat. And Kamala better not underestimate Donald Trump or the millions of people who want this guy for some reason to be the president of the United States. He said it at the debate. I had the most popular votes of any president in American history. Wow. It's crazy. It's wild. But it's real. And Shirley Chisholm 2024 needs to be Shirley Chisholm of the 70s. She needs to step up. She needs to make all of these demographics that Donald Trump is crucifying. She needs to make the 1.3 million Haitians in the United States of America, Republican, Democrat, and otherwise, decide that they're going to the ballot box to register their grievances against the attack of their folks. She needs to make sure that women all over America who have decided that Donald Trump is not what they want to represent them show up to the ballot box. She has to make black people on the cusp who do not believe that she will do anything for them. She has to start having conversations with that community so that they show up to the ballot box. Because what took place for Shirley is that with all that running around, with all that media coverage, people didn't want her to be the nominee. They cut her throat. They cut her throat. They cut the legs out from under her. And they stole it from her. And Kamala could be that person that makes for a very good, what's the word? Makes for someone who's great to run against, but still has no chance of beating you. For those who play sports, you know what I'm talking about. If you've played and you've been a guy that's played like myself for some of the greatest basketball teams at your level. So in high school, Oakwood Collegiate. When I went up against another legitimate good high school, I knew it was going to be a good game. But we always knew we were going to win. There's nothing you can do. At the end, we're going to win. You're going to play well. You're going to have a good game. You're going to have a chance. But you're going to lose. And the question for Kamala, is she a winner? Is she a winner? Because the one thing that you can't take away from the Donald is that he plays to win. And that he has the capacity to turn losing into winning. He has the capacity to turn losing into winning. When he lost the popular vote, he found a way to turn losing into winning. Oh my goodness, Donald Trump. The Electoral College decided that he was going to be the president of the United States. And listen, that's another thing too. It's just one thing to deal with that popular vote, but what will the Electoral College decide for Kamala? How will that work out? There's a lot of questions to be answered. But my question today is she our Shirley Chisholm? And the answer is definitely yes. She's definitely our Shirley Chisholm. This is a historic time in world history, and she's already made history, where a woman of her magnitude, a vice president of the United States, a senator of the United States, a former district attorney of the United States, has now taken her place to be the next president of the United States. And whether it's this election or the next election, Kamala Harris is going to be the president of the United States. She's young enough, she's smart enough, she's qualified enough. She's running against Godzilla, but is she King Kong? And we're going to see what happens. Let me see here. She needs to use her God-given blessed cultural background. And she has the opportunity as a multicultural woman to use her power. Absolutely. She does. But the question is, can she turn that into a win? Donald Trump, he said that debate was a resounding victory. Donald Trump is that basketball player who doesn't remember his missed shots. He just only remembers when the ball goes in the basket. He doesn't record losses in his mind. He doesn't record them. There's no losses in his head. He will not still admit he lost the last election. That was the craziest part of that debate for me. One of the craziest parts. He still says, we didn't lose that. I'll show you the record in Georgia. I'll show you it here. I'll show you it there. He's decisive that he did not lose that election. It was stolen from him. So, Shirley, Kamala, the world is waiting for you, man. You're 80% there. You're 80% there. And you can't do what Barack did. You can't think that you're just going to get there and you're not going to address your people directly. You're not going to get into office that way because you are not Barack Obama. Barack Obama had the capacity to endear people outside of his race on a serious level. You are just the anti-Trump decision. You are just the choice that allows people to say, I'm not voting for Trump. I'll vote for this woman. So you got to do something, girl. Go ahead. You're not going to lose white folks by trying to say that you're going to support black people. You won't lose them. but you will lose us. This is Del K. Brereton, and this is The Real Spiel. The live drive, Shiloh Institute. Stand up.